How was your day? How was your day? Did you do anything interesting, exciting? Was it Groundhog Day? Okie dokie. We are connected to YouTube Live. Hello, people on YouTube Live. Hello. Oh, nice. The numbers are jumping up. Just going to give that a minute there. Want the numbers to jump up. People are getting notifications on their phone because they're subscribers. If you're not a subscriber yet, do hit that subscribe button. Every time we do a live stream, you'll get a notification on your phone that'll say E2 Languages live stream, and you can watch it wherever you are. Even if you're in the park, you can watch it, which would be cool. Punkas had a hard day. Yeah, they exist. They happen. There's no doubt about that. And yep, that's right. You can stay strong. All right, good. I'm not going to muck around now. We've got 90 in there already, and we've got only 30 in here. Maybe I'm a little bit early. Let me answer a few questions. If you have some questions in the Zoom. Okay, Abdullah Javed says, what is E2 Campus? Okay, so this is a new concept that we've created because, well, some people like face-to-face still. Even though it's 2018, that's okay. Some people like learning face-to-face. So what we're going to do in June, we are going to run a little, I think it's a 2-day workshop here at the E2 Language headquarters in Melbourne, Australia. So if you live in Melbourne and you've got your IELTS coming up, and specifically if you need help with writing, then come along to that E2 Campus event, and we'll give you help. What we're, Jamal, the other IELTS teacher, and I will be the two people running that. So we're going to focus on both academic and general English. What we're hoping though, what we want to do with E2 Campus eventually is we would like to have a little campus, a little school perhaps, all around the world. That'd be ideal. So if you are a language school, you can get in contact with us if you're interested. It'd be cool to have an E2 campus in Pakistan. It'd be cool to have an E2 campus in India, one in, I don't know, wherever you are. So currently just in Australia, but we will get there. All right, 39 people there and 117 on YouTube Live. Still low numbers there, but that's cool. Let's get started, hey? All right, so we're going to do some reading. Let's do it. Let me record this thing. Give me a second. And there we go. That's recording. Cool. Hello, everybody. My name is Jay. If you're doing the IELTS test, then I suggest you watch this video that is coming up because we're going to look at one of the trickiest question types, which is match features. Now, we did this last week, but we did a different one. So I'm giving you different questions tonight. I just think that we need to do extra practice on this particular question type. So as you probably are aware by now, or if you are not, there are 11 different task types in IELTS reading. In other words, there are 11 question types. The one we're focusing on again tonight is matching features, and it looks like this. No, it doesn't. Let me explain what it looks like here. Okay, so this is what we did last week. I'm just using this to explain the question to you, and then we'll do some different ones as for the actual practice. Okay, the first thing you want to do is focus on this list here. There'll be a numbered list. And you look at number 1, for example, and it says it helped other countries develop their own film industry. What you need to do is sort of change that into a bit of a question and ask yourself, which country helped other countries develop their own film industry? Then here you have a list of countries. So did France help other countries develop their own film industry? Did Germany help other countries, etc.? You get the point. Then you go to the paragraph, for example, and you find out that it was China. So then you go down to the bottom here of the list of countries and you see that China is letter J. And so you write the letter J on your answer sheet. I'm sorry it's so complicated, but that's just the way it is. So it's a bit of a trick. You sort of start here, you connect it to that, you read the paragraph where actually reading happens, and you say, okay, it's China. So then you look at the list of countries. China is the letter J, so you write the letter J on your answer sheet. So your answer sheet's going to look like something like this. It's going to have like J, A, D, D. Now, the reason I have two Ds is because you can use the same letter more than once if it says so. So here are some key tips. First of all, the statements follow the same order as the text, which is great, which means number one, which country helped other countries develop their own film industry will be located at the top of the paragraphs. Okay, and number 7 will be located at the bottom of the paragraphs. So you're going through it and answering questions. It is not random. You should be finding keywords in the statement to match to the paragraph, and pay attention to the instructions. NB, you may use any letter more than once. For example, France may feature more than once in your answer sheet. Right, let's do it. We're going to do something different now. The same question, different text types. You haven't seen these yet. This one is a little bit more academic, okay? Last week was general. It was pretty easy. This one's going to be a bit tougher. Let's see how you go. Even if you're doing the general, still hang around and do this because it's still very good practice and the question type is exactly the same, and it's good to get your head around that question type. Here we go. Let's see if you can do this one in 2 minutes. Sorry, you'll find the answers to questions 1 and 2 only. 1 and 2, not 3 and 4. That's 2 minutes. Let me just check whether you got 1 and 2. If you're having problems reading this on your screen in the Zoom webinar, go and watch it on YouTube Live. Let me just quickly paste the link here into the chat. There's the link. Watch it on YouTube Live if it's blurry or not formatting properly. Okay, I might give you another minute just to check your answers, okay? So another minute. And remember, we're just doing 1 and 2 from this text here. Okay, that's probably enough time. Let's move on to do number 3 and 4 here. Just give you another 20 seconds or so. Whoops. 30 seconds. Just to check your answer. Okie dokie, let's stop there. That's the kind of pace that you need to read at in, well, both the general and the academic test. I don't know how you did it, but for me on test day, I speed read the texts. This one's hard because you have to be careful in IELTS. They kind of take you in one direction. You think, okay, it's this country, it's this, like, for example, let's say it's the British, and then there'll be a sentence that dislocates that and says, no, it's the Arabs, for example. So you have to be really careful. In this one, you kind of need to speed read the whole thing, though, I think. Because in the text itself, if you have a look, you can see all the names of different countries. You can see Europe, well, continent, India. So let's have a look. So if you're just going off keywords, it's not going to work. Europe, European, India, British, India again. What else have we got in here? Mexicans. There's probably more. Americans. There you go. So if you're just trying to identify keywords, that ain't going to work. You're going to have to speed read the entire text and think, keep this in mind. For example, black powder, read until you find the right one. It's a trick. It's a real trick. Anyway, let's go through the answers. Okay, so we're looking for the country that first invented or used black powder. And as I said, this comes because it's number 1 at the top of the reading. And in here, the first sentence says, the invention of rockets is linked inextricably with the invention of black powder. Okay, great. We found our keyword there, black powder. Most historians of technology credit the Chinese with its discovery. Now, this is in the IELTS where you start to think, I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious. Most historians credit the Chinese with its discovery. Keep reading. Let's keep reading. Well, let's see. They base their belief on studies of Chinese writings or on the notebooks of early Europeans. Okay, there's nothing about Europeans in the list of countries who settled in or made long visits to China to study its history and civilization. It is probable that sometime in the 10th century, black powder was first Okay, I'm going to go with China. The Chinese first invented black powder. They didn't trick me this time, the IELTS people. In fact, they mentioned it quite clearly that it was the Chinese. Cool. So let's do number 2. Who invented or who first used rocket-propelled arrows for fighting? By the 13th century, powder-propelled fire arrows, whoa, there's our keyword there, had become rather common. The Chinese relied on this type of technological development to produce incendiary projectiles of many sorts, explosive grenades, and possibly cannons to repel their enemies. And rock and roll, we're going to stick with the Chinese again, which is A. So 1A, 2A. How are you going so far? Now for number 3, who used rockets as war weapons is not mentioned until this paragraph here, the following paragraph. And it says, it was not until the 18th century that Europe became seriously interested in the possibilities of using the rocket itself as a weapon of war. Europe, but it doesn't list Europe there. And not just to propel other weapons. Prior to this, who first used it? Rockets were used only in pyrotechnic displays. The incentive for the more aggressive use of rockets came not from within the European continent, but from far away India. Number 3, where's India on the list? Well, it's B. The Indians first used rockets as war weapons. How are you going so far? Hopefully you've got 3 out of 3. Let's go to number 4, which was who invented or first used the rocket launcher. Well, we could probably predict this one just from looking at the list, but let's look anyway. The British rocket differed from the Indian version in that it was completely encased in a stout iron cylinder terminating in a conical head, measuring 1 meter in diameter and having a stick almost 5 meters long and constructed in such a way that it could be firmly attached to the body of the rocket. The Americans developed a rocket complete with its own launcher. Aha. So who first used or invented the rocket launcher? E, the Americans. So drum roll, the answers are A, B, and E. If you got that, please put a little smiley face into the chat if you got 4 out of 4, or else just tell me what score you got out of curiosity. This was hard. Some of that language in there, some of that vocabulary was full on, the Australians would say. How many did you get? 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 3. Okay, great. Nice. Well done. Well done. That was an academic one. So that's what you'll get. It kind of makes it easier. It makes it easier. It certainly makes it easier when you have somebody explain to you how to do these questions step by step. Because when you're just alone and you're looking at this thing, it is so confusing, right? It's very confusing. It's very good when somebody says, okay, first look here, and then look here, and then you have to connect it to here, and then you connect it back to here, and you have to write this in the thing. That's great. Anyway, if you need help with any of this sort of stuff, that's exactly what we do at e2language.com. So if you're struggling with your IELTS or you've got one coming up, you've never taken it before, check this website out. Think about signing up to a paid package because the value is, well, it can actually save you money in the long term. Plus, it'll improve your reading and writing and speaking and listening skills. What do you know? All right, let's go and do some Q&A. That was a short one, but a good one. Sumaira says, Question 3 was tricky. Yeah. Question 3 did the old IELTS thing where it leads you down this path and you think, and then the last second it goes, nope, in fact, it was this. So don't be concerned with that. All right, no questions in Zoom yet. No questions on YouTube Live yet. Okay. Okay, I've got a question here on YouTube Live from Toyosi. Hello, Jay. When we write IELTS General Task 1 letters, is it correct to write a header like letter of complaint? No. No. So Toyosi wants to know if you need to write in capital letters, letter of complaint or letter of interest or something. No, you don't. You write that in the first paragraph. So you write, Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing to complain about blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't need a heading or anything. Cool. Surjit Singh Banga, can you give some links of reading exercises? I can give you a great link. It's called e2language.com. Birju, what spelling should I write from read? Oh, okay. What spelling should I use in the answer sheet, US or British? You won't get to choose. You'll just be taking a word from the paragraph. You'll be taking language from the paragraph, so you're not actually choosing the spelling yourself. Any other questions? There's my friend Abhiram. He's just come to say hello. What would be the reason to score 5.5 in IELTS? Well, probably a lack of preparation, a lack of understanding of the exam, and yes. How to manage time during the IELTS reading test. Yeah, that's a tough one because you need to read efficiently. You need to learn how to, you need to practice speed reading, but not reading so quickly that you don't understand anything, right? Because what you're doing here in the IELTS is a couple of things. You're taking a keyword like black powder. Who invented black powder? Who invented black powder? You're running that question in your mind. Who invented black powder? Then you're reading with that question in your mind. The Chinese invented black powder. Got it. Okay. So you're circling that question in your mind while quickly reading the text. It's a real skill to do that. It's a real skill to do that. And when you just practice using reading materials that are not IELTS specific, you're practicing the second skill of speed reading, but you're not practicing the skill of keeping something in your mind while speed reading. It's a real trick. Cool. But good question. Farnaz, give us some special reading tips which you used in your exams. I am. This is, yeah. Okay, let me give you some bigger tips though. It depends on the question type. You need to understand all 11 question types. I hate to say it, but you need to at least, if you're very good, if your English is excellent, you should at least be familiar with the question types. If your English is low, then you need to do more fundamental building of vocabulary and grammar and stuff. Everything I know about the IELTS and how I got to IELTS 9 in reading and listening, etc., is in the course. It's in the course. Toyosi likes my shirt. I like my shirt too. It's a nice shirt. Thank you, Toyosi. Seema, what we should do to improve listening skills? Yeah, okay. Again, IELTS listening is excellent if you can get lots of IELTS listening practice in. But also if you run out of practice material, whatever, use podcasts. Podcasts are excellent. There's a good podcast called, what's it called? How It Works, something. And they just explain really crazy stuff like how mirrors work. That'd be a perfect one for IELTS, actually. I think it's called How Stuff Works, if I'm not wrong. It's a great one for IELTS. Okay, writing. There's a few questions on here about writing, which I'll spend a little bit of time on, and that seems to be the big one for everybody. IELTS writing is hard because people do not write it. They don't write their essays or their task one in the way that the examiners want it to be written. What I mean by that is you need to use a specific sentence type. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. Trust me, I had to go through this to find out the answer. You need to write what are called subordinate clauses, subordinate sentences. Sentences are like, although, dot, 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 comma, dot, 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 those two-part sentences. Despite, dot, 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 dot. Those sorts of sentences, you need to fill your essay with those types of sentences, the subordination, or else you can get a maximum score of 4 for grammar. Because grammar is not just about accuracy, grammar is about range. What you need to show off all different types of grammar. So when you're writing, don't just write simple sentences. Even if it's 100% accurate, you'll only get 4 out of 9 for grammar. So you need to put in lots of subordination. You need to use a conditional, maybe write a question in there, use some modal verbs. You need to mix it up, basically, so you extend the range of your grammar. The biggest problem, though, is that people don't answer the question of the essay. That seems to be the biggest issue because it's stressful on test day and you have some memorized answer in your head, or you just sort of misinterpret it and you just write slightly off topic and boom, you've lost marks for task achievement. Anyway, all of that's explained in the course if you're having troubles with writing, and feedback is important for writing from experts. Okay. Jay, recently you changed the pattern of writing task 2 compared to the okay, so I've got 2 videos on YouTube for advantages, disadvantages. They're both technically correct. I've asked the examiner. Probably the newer one is better. The newer one talks about discussing 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. That's probably more on the money. Yeah. So what's the newer one? They're both good, but the newer one, they're both accurate, I should say, but the newer one is probably better. Okay, that's cool. Where are we at? 128, still got 150 people watching this, which is awesome. Jay, answer my question. Okay. In your tutorial in writing task 1 academic, you told us to follow SDC, but Jamal said that we have to follow intro descriptions and compare, at least we have to write summary. Okay. There's no need to write a conclusion in IELTS academic writing task 1, where you describe the graph. You don't need to write a conclusion. There's nothing to conclude. You're describing. So some of our earlier videos have a summary sentence at the end. You can put that. That's fine. You get conflicting advice from IELTS examiners sometimes. Some examiners like that, some don't. I would suggest not putting a summary sentence at the end unless you are under the word count. Otherwise, again, just check out the newest videos. They're all up to date and on the money. Antala, please talk about true, false, not given. Okay, so there's a reading question type, which is called, well, there are 2. It's true, false, not given, and there's yes, no, not given. What's difficult about this is the difference between no and not given, or false and not given. This is how you need to think about it. You need to think about if it's no or if it's false, it's contradictory to what the statement says. For example, the statement says, Jay is wearing a green shirt, right? And the text says Jay is wearing a white shirt. So this one says Jay's wearing a green shirt. The text, which is the true one, says Jay's wearing a white shirt. They contradict each other, so that is no or that is false. Okay. Let's say the statement says Jay's shirt is made of cotton. The text says Jay's shirt is white. It's not contradicting, it's just not given. There's no information, and so you answer not given. Of course, that is a simple example, but it's that same logic that you need to apply to more complex examples. But that's how that one's done in a nutshell. It's a doozy of a. I like it. It's a doozy of a question, though. Jay, can you suggest some recent task 2 writing questions? The most recent one I took this test about 2 months ago, and it was a question about, should we extend prison sentence lengths to deter criminal activity? So if I just wrote about criminal activity, I would get a low score. If I just wrote about extending prison lengths, I would get a low score. If I wrote about extending prison lengths to deter criminal activity, I would get a high score because I've answered both parts of the question. And I got an 8.5 for that one, so it's not bad. Not bad. Jay, I have one more question. Okay. In speaking, does the PPF method work every time? PPF, excuse me, I need a drink of water. The PPF method, for those of you who don't know, is in the IELTS speaking in the 2 minutes where you need to speak for 2 minutes. It's very difficult to do that on one topic. So they give you a task card that says talk about your favorite book, for example. So you talk about your favorite book for 30 seconds, then you're finished. But you'll get a low score. What you need to do is talk about your favorite book when you're a child, your favorite book that you're reading currently, and a book that you would like to read in the future, for example, because you are not graded on speaking on topic. You are not graded on speaking on topic. You're graded on pronunciation. You're graded on vocabulary. You're graded on grammar. And you're graded on coherence, the way that you structure your speaking. There is nothing there about topic, unlike the essay where you have to write about the topic. Does PPF method work for every task card you get? For example, if the task card says, describe your childhood friend, how can you talk about the past, the present, and the future then? You can't. What you could do is talk about your childhood friend in the past and describe your childhood friend, and you could still describe him or her in the present, what he or she looks like and does now. That would be fine, past and present, but maybe the future one wouldn't work. So in short, when you're doing that, you just need to be flexible. You don't have to tell 3 stories. The reason we tell 3 stories is it extends the length up to 2 minutes, so you can talk for the whole time. More importantly, you use a range of different verbs. Use past tense verbs, use present perfect verbs, and you use future tense and modal verbs. And that increases your vocabulary and your grammar score. So it's a very, very smart thing to do. But again, be flexible. If you can't tell a future story, don't tell a future story. Just tell a past and a present, for example. Jay, what happens when you're speaking for 2 minutes and the examiner stops you? That's fine. You don't have to know when 2 minutes is up. Okay. Okay, here's a good question from Bala. And this is confusing. In the instructions, if it says the answer is no more than 2 words, and can I use 1 word? Yes, but you can't use 3 words. Okay, I get what your question is. Okay, let's say you're doing the reading test or the listening test, and it says the answer is no more than 2 words. Okay, and let's say you hear blue pen, whatever, they're talking about something at school, and it says what tool does she use in the classroom, whatever. And she says, I use a blue pen in the classroom. Okay, now do you write pen or do you write blue pen as your answer? What would be a more precise answer? Ask yourself that. Pen or blue pen? And you can use 2 words. The answer, the most precise, always write the most precise answer, which may include the adjective, blue pen. So the answer would be blue pen there. If you just wrote pen, you would be incorrect. Okay, I better go because I need a drink. Thanks very much for coming along. Hope it was helpful. Please click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. If you are not a subscriber, you miss out on these live classes. If you are, you'll get notifications on your phone so you can come and watch them live, which is totally cool. And yeah, please tell your friends about E2 Language. We're a new company. We're trying to do the best we can to help you guys out. I think we're doing it really well. If you check out our Facebook reviews, we've had like 350 reviews for an average rating of 4.8 out of 5. Really, really good reviews. People like what we do. We're helping a lot of people to pass their IELTS and their PT and their OET and their TOEFL test as well. So that's totally cool. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see y'all soon.